Hello and welcome to Sundry News for Tuesday, July 21st. Here we have this evening's Daily Shapiro. Democrats want to blame Republicans for COVID spread. Here's 5 reasons that doesn't hold up. As coronavirus cases rise across the nation, supposedly, the media and the Democrats, but I repeat myself, have struck upon a narrative. COVID-19 has been mishandled by Republicans. This is, to be sure, a dubious proposition. There are 5 separate pieces of information that should make you skeptical of the Republicans as key bad actors narrative in the media's fantasy. 1. Blue states were harder hit by every metric. After all, New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut represent well over 1/3 of COVID-19 deaths, but just 6% of the population of the United States. The worst death per million ratios by state belong to, in order, New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, District of Columbia, Louisiana, Michigan, Illinois, Maryland, Pennsylvania, and Delaware. I guess I'll continue reading that. And it loads, and it loads, and it loads. Here we go, here we go. Hold on. Just, really? Okay, thank you. Delaware. Only Maryland has a Republican governor. Much maligned Florida ranks 25th here, better than Ohio, Colorado, Minnesota, and Virginia. Texas ranks even further down the list at 35th, below Washington and California. Still, the myth persists. Red states blew it. Blue states didn't. 2. New York isn't doing well now because they did it right. They're doing better because they performed horribly. New York isn't doing well now because they did it right. They're doing better because they performed horribly. In order to promulgate this myth, particularly these days, media members put out charts showing the dramatic decrease in deaths in New York. But that decrease is almost assuredly due not to good policy. New York never implemented good policy, from cramming COVID-positive elders back into nursing homes to refusing to cleanse the subways until May, from cheering on mass protests to refusing to lock down until late March. It's due to the fact that Democratic areas were hard hit and the virus burned through the most vulnerable population. It's like arguing that the death rates on Alderaan looked stellar a week after Grand Moff Tarkin's order to destroy the planet. There is no consistent evidence that forced lockdown is the solution. The media have drawn a sharp binary between shutdown states and non-shutdown states. The data don't support it. Sometimes lockdowns are necessary, sometimes they're not. Colorado reopened at the same time as Georgia, but it has seen case declines. California remained largely locked down while Texas and Florida opened, but California is being shellacked. Policy considerations differ from place to place and from climate to climate. Furthermore, Americans became risk-averse before official lockdowns by data. Government compulsion isn't always the rationale for Americans staying at home. Risk-averse. That's a very charitable way to put it. Mask-wearing mandates aren't the big differentiator. The theory seems to be that Americans in red states aren't wearing masks, but that Americans in blue states are. Therefore, red state Americans are idiots spreading disease. That's not true. Here's the latest map from the New York Times on prevalence of mask wearing alongside the latest map from the Times on overall caseload. The maps show clearly that Americans wear masks when the caseload is high. In other words, Americans are self-interested and rational in protecting themselves for the most part. Except that the masks are not about protecting yourself. It's about supposedly trying to look out for everybody. Map of mask wearing in the U.S. versus map of total cases count in U.S. See if you can spot the pattern. Furthermore, there is wide variation in terms of mask adoption abroad. Countries like Norway, Texas, Countries like Norway, 49 deaths per million, Finland, 59 deaths per million, Denmark, 105 deaths per million, and Sweden, 556 deaths per million, have not adopted masking, while countries like Spain, 608 deaths per million, and Hong Kong, 1 death per million, have. Is the most obvious factor in the deaths per million differential mask mandates? And do such variations have anything to do with Republicans? This virus is extraordinarily transmissible. As Jim Garrity wrote today in National Review, a study released last month by the Scripps Research Institute concluded that the strains of the virus spreading so quickly in Europe and the U.S. have a mutated S-spike protein that makes them about 10 times as infectious as the strain that was initially identified in Asia. If it seems like the United States is having a tougher time controlling the spread of the coronavirus than Asian countries did in winter and early spring, that's partially because this version of the virus is tougher to stop from spreading. That means it's simply tough to stop the spread. End of story. There is some good news in all of this. Overall, mortality rates have plummeted. We may be seeing a plateau in hospitalizations in Texas, Florida, and Arizona. There is some evidence that T-cell immunity actually makes the herd immunity threshold significantly lower than previously supposed. But no matter what comes next, one thing is clear. This stuff shouldn't be partisan, and there are no obvious answers or sins that allow Democrats to pin the panic on Republicans. Well, the panic is squarely on the shoulders of everybody on social media, everybody in the media, and the Democrats. Moving on, Tucker Carlson. New York Times is planning on revealing where my family lives to injure my wife and kids. Yeah, in a roundabout way, yeah. Missouri AG files to dismiss charges against McCloskey's. I won't stand by while Missouri law is being ignored. Good for him. China forces Christians to renounce faith, destroy Christian symbols, or be cut off from welfare, reports say. My goodness. And all we've been hearing about is the Muslims, but apparently it's not just the Muslims that have it hard. There's some ads. Watch the Ben Shapiro Show. Tune in to the fastest growing, hardest hitting, most insightful, and savagely irreverent conservative podcast on the web. Watch the latest episode. Moving on to the Daily Wire from earlier today, much earlier. Federal judge's son and husband shot at home. Judge was assigned to Epstein Deutsche Bank case last week. And I read this headline yesterday and commented a bit on it. The son is dead. The husband is apparently not dead. Judge is alive. I don't quite understand why they would just go ahead and kill her son. I mean, you'd think they would just threaten or maybe kidnap to get what they want. We warned them. Dallas police chief had nearly 700 protesters taken into custody for blocking highway, and I also read this yesterday. And, good. Let's do more of that. I just hope that they didn't end up releasing those people just a few hours later without bail or charges or, fines or anything like that. Yes, Tucker Carlson, New York Times. Democrat prosecutor charges McCloskey's with felonies after using guns to defend private property. But now, as we just read, the Attorney General of the state is going to make them drop the charges. Good for him. Thousands to walk off jobs and strike for Black Lives. So there's been there's no headlines here that I haven't read yet. Okay, so as I said before when I read this, go ahead, do your thing. Make room for all those unemployed people sitting at home who actually want to work. Let them just step in. Wild Alaskan salmon, $15 off your first box from Wild Alaskan Company. And ads. Moving on to the Daily Yahoo. A Latina trailblazer, Esther Salas, federal judge whose son was killed, described as mentor. Why does it matter what her ethnicity is? Esther Salas, New Jersey's first Hispanic U.S. district judge, now finds herself the victim of a family tragedy shortly after her assignment to a high-profile corruption case. I didn't know she was from Hispaniola. Yep. It took the Daily Yahoo quite a while to talk about it. Oh, no, wait. They had a different headline on it yesterday. Latina trailblazer. Who the fuck cares? Who cares what her ethnicity is? Yes, I know. Unfortunately, fucking everybody does. But it really shouldn't matter. Barely worth discussion. DHS official dismisses uproar over use of unmarked vehicles in Portland. Department of Homeland Security Acting Deputy Secretary Ken Cuccinelli defended the federal law enforcement response to unrest in Portland. Barely worth discussion. Good for him. Stick to your guns. It's affecting every single bit of my job. Coronavirus and police reform create hurdle in race for control of House. Coronavirus has created a new hurdle in the race for control of the House. What is this thing with the whole repeating of headlines thing? You just take the first couple sentences and make that the headline? Not only with the partisan bickering, but as candidates work to campaign from their homes. Okay. Gun-wielding St. Louis couple charged with felony over unlawful weapons. A St. Louis couple has been charged with felony unlawful use of a weapon for brandishing guns during civil rights demonstrations outside their mansion last month on their private property. St. Louis Circuit Attorney Kim Gardner announced charges against Mark and Patricia McCloskey on Monday. And what you were failing to include here, I'm guessing it's going to be a failure to include in the entire story. I'm not going to bother clicking on it. Is that the Attorney General for the state? The state's Attorney General is going to make them drop the charges because they were completely within their rights. John Boyega says he's moved on from Star Wars character. I have more to offer. John Boyega said he has more to offer than one character when explaining why he wouldn't return to Star Wars. Okay. Casey Musgraves has a new breakup hair color change. She meant lighten up Buttercup literally. From Hello Giggles. Oh my goodness. Featured All Markets Summit. Extra is live today. Yahoo Finance All Markets Summit is back and completely virtual with extra content and timely insights. Watch live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time to learn about and define what's next with the brightest minds in business. Oh, I'm so sorry I missed that. What's hot? Oh, Yahoo search. Trending now, Tessa Thompson, Alessandra Ambrosio, coronavirus, Jacqueline Jossa, AARP Insurance, Lexington Law, Priyanka Chopra, Toyota Tacoma 2020, Sarah Cooper, and Kimberly Guilfoyle. What's with all the women? I'm so sure. Last of all is 1440 in partnership with Vuori. Good morning. It's Tuesday, July 21st, and data from vaccine trials have us crossing our fingers. Need to know. Early vaccine success. A slew of data released yesterday showed promising signs of success for a trio of coronavirus vaccine candidates in their initial phases of study. The first, developed by Oxford University and AstraZeneca, was shown to prompt an immune response that lasted at least 2 months. 2 months. The study was performed with a group of 1,000 patients, with a larger study currently underway with tens of thousands enrolled. AstraZeneca has said, pending results, it could deliver emergency doses by year's end. The second, produced by Pfizer and BioNTech, also prompted an immune response in an early-stage study involving 60 healthy volunteers. The group is set to begin testing with 30,000 people this month. The third candidate, already approved for limited use by China, is a joint effort between CanSino and the Chinese military. New data showed the vaccine prompts an immune response but is less effective in patients 55 and older, a key target demographic for vaccination. All three demonstrated a dual immune response, producing both virus-neutralizing antibodies and T cells, which can facilitate antibody production as well as directly kill the virus. See an explanation of both here. More than 150 potential vaccines are in different stages of development around the world, with nearly 24 already being tested in humans. 4 are in late-stage trials. You can track the status of the most promising candidates here and here. Separately, the White House is expected to restart daily televised coronavirus briefings beginning today. The U.S. has reported 3.83 million total cases, alleged cases as of this morning, with 140,909 alleged deaths. See a moving 3-day average here. Phase 4 stimulus. Negotiations over the next round of coronavirus stimulus funding began in earnest yesterday as Senate GOP leaders met with President Trump to haggle over initial details. The Republican-led bill is expected to clock in at more than $1 trillion, with provisions shielding businesses from coronavirus-related lawsuits and another round of direct payments with a lower income limit around $40,000. President Trump has also pushed to cut payroll taxes. A $600 per week boost to unemployment benefits is set to expire this week, which Republicans are likely to reduce or eliminate, saying it lowers incentives to return to work, which is true. There are some data to back the claim. A University of Chicago study found 2/3 of workers would receive benefits exceeding what they made when employed. House Democrats have already passed a $3 trillion package, and details here. $3 trillion. You just gotta outdo everybody, huh? The Senate bill is expected to be introduced this week. UK suspends Hong Kong extradition. The United Kingdom suspended yesterday its long-standing extradition treaty with Hong Kong, citing a newly passed national security bill that critics say allows the Chinese government broad authority to crack down on dissidents. Under the previous agreement, if someone from the UK was suspected of a crime in Hong Kong, the Hong Kong government would turn that person over and vice versa. The arrangement could allow China, acting via Hong Kong, to formally request the UK turn over those suspected of violations under the new legislation. Critics have argued the law is vaguely worded and carries overly harsh penalties, with language relating to subversion and endangering national security, potentially including social media posts critical of Beijing. The move is the latest in quickly escalating tensions between China and the West. For historical perspective, check out this timeline. Correction. In yesterday's digest, we incorrectly said Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito passed away ahead of the 2016 election. It was, in fact, Antonin Scalia. Alito is alive and well. I kind of thought it was Scalia. A short summer. Vuori. Ah, the great outdoors. How we've missed it. With this sunny summer weather, we could all get back in an exercise routine. And what better way to do it than with Vuori? They bring you versatile shorts and loungewear pants that'll have you jumping jacks for joy. Take, for example, their men's Banks shorts. Made from recycled plastic bottles, they are quick-drying, anti-odor, and have 4-way stretch. Ultra comfortable and perfect for running, yoga, swimming, or a good workout. Or their women's Tabi shorts. Just like the Banks shorts, but with a shorter inseam. Enjoy supreme comfort all summer long. Interested in either of the above or just want to take a look at the wide range of high-quality pants and shorts offered by Vuori? Check them out today for 20% off your first purchase. Take a load off. Visit their site here. Please support our sponsors. In the know. Sports, entertainment, and culture. Highly anticipated Christopher Nolan sci-fi thriller Tenet, delayed for a third time on uncertainty over worldwide theater reopenings. Netflix commits nearly $200 million, its most ever for a single film, for The Gray Man, starring Ryan Gosling and Chris Evans. Intriguing. Ballon d'Or, the award given annually to the best male and female soccer players in the world, canceled for first time in its 64-year history due to the coronavirus. Rapper Logic signs exclusive 7-figure deal with Twitch, is the video game streaming platform's first partnership with a musician. Science and technology. Study finds magnetic anomaly in the South Atlantic has been a recurring phenomenon for at least 11 million years. Implies its weakening does not foreshadow an impending reversal of Earth's magnetic poles. Okay, good. One less thing we can blame on people. SpaceX sets record for launch turnaround time, successfully using the same rocket twice within 51 days. Self-driving startup Aurora to begin testing its fleet in Texas. Oh no. Company is led by Chris Urmson, the former lead for Google's self-driving unit, who has been called the Henry Ford of autonomous vehicles. Why in Texas? Why you gotta do that here? Go away. Business and Markets, brought to you by The Ascent. Tens of thousands of service industry workers in 160 cities protest racial and economic inequality in nationwide strike. That is so obnoxious. NASDAQ up 2.5% to a record high as many big tech stocks see large daily gains. Good. Chevron to acquire energy producer Noble Energy for $5 billion as reduced energy demand leads to attractive valuations. A credit card that packs up to $1,148 of value? Secure the highest cashback rate on the market that we've come across, with no annual fee to boot. That's probably The Ascent. Politics and world affairs. Self-described anti-feminist lawyer found dead of apparent suicide, suspected of killing the son and injuring the husband of U.S. District Judge Esther Salas. Really? Suspect appeared before Salas in 2015. Sure. Protests in Portland, Oregon enter 54th night, with focus shifting to the presence of federal non-military forces in the city. Wall of moms shield protesters. Wall of people claiming to be moms because they have random crappy shirts with things like mommy written on them. President Trump considering deploying federal officers to a number of U.S. cities to quell unrest. Yeah, sure, do it. State Senator Nikema Williams, chair of the Georgia Democratic Party, tapped to replace the late Representative John Lewis. The heavily Democratic 5th District covers the bulk of the Atlanta metro area. I'm sure she'll do great. In depth, the last giraffes on Earth, from Atlantic. Their lovable and familiar nature obscures the fact that global giraffe populations have dropped 30% since 1990, with total numbers just a quarter of the African elephant. But the main threat isn't poaching for international black markets, it's hungry villagers. USS University, from No Mercy / No Malice. For thousands of colleges, untenable financial positions entering the panic have left them with only two options: bring back students or close their doors. Here's what will determine who survives, thrives, or dies. The world's most comfortable shorts. No one beats Vuori when it comes to comfortable and versatile shorts. Check them out today for men's Banks shorts with 4-way stretch. Women's Tabi shorts that are so comfortable you'll never want to take them off. Head on over to their site and take 20% off today. Please support our sponsors, etc. The costs of reopening a restaurant during a panic. A look inside the world of real-life wedding crashers. Watch the Italian Coast Guard rescue a trapped sperm whale. Neat. ranking the world's 50 most innovative companies. Welcome to Freedom Cove, an island for two built from recycled materials. This ancient Greek shipwreck is now an underwater museum. Ah, cool. Flying ants are taking over England. Mark Zuckerberg wears about as much sunscreen as you'd expect. Clickbait. Get ready for 3D printed chicken nuggets. No thank you. History book. Author Ernest Hemingway, born 1899. Actor and comedian Robin Williams, born 1951. Happy birthday, soccer great Brandy Chastain, 1968. Jay Silverheels becomes first Native American to have star on Hollywood Walk of Fame, 1979. What was he in? Westerns, I guess, but I don't recognize the name. NASA's Space Shuttle program ends, 2011. There's no shame in failing. The only shame is not giving things your best shot. Robin Williams. Okay, cool. That's it for 1440, and that is it for Sundry News. Thank you, and good night.